Hello dear students of second year commerce, I mean class 12 commerce. Welcome to the online class on business studies and management. Today's topic is functions of management, but before we go to know what are the various functions of management, you might have read about the meaning, characteristics, objectives and importance of the term management in your previous classes. Okay. So, even though you have read about different aspects of management meaning, characteristics, objectives, importance, yet I feel it would be better if I briefly highlight the concept of management for the sake of clarity. Okay. So, let us have some idea, some highlights on the meaning of the term management. Now, you see this some video on the slide about it is about a story about 6 blind men and an elephant. So, you might have heard this story about 6 blind men and an elephant, and most maybe some of you might not be heard this story. So, I am explaining this story about 6 blind men and an elephant. Once upon a time there were 6 blind men, they lived in a town and they wanted to go to a fair nearby. So, somebody shouted, elephant, we will go on a ride on an elephant, but the blind men did not hear about elephants earlier. So, they curiosity developed in their minds. All of them challenged that they can describe elephant by virtue of the sense of touch. So, one by one tried to describe the elephant. Here is the story of 6 blind men. You observe the story picture. I am describing the story. Look, an elephant is coming. One person shouted, look, an elephant is coming, we will have a ride on it. When the elephant came near, the friends also became anxious to know what an elephant looked like. One by one they touched the elephant. The first blind man went and touched the stomach. He said, an elephant is like a wall. Then the second blind man, he went, he was standing nearby the tusk of the elephant and he touched it and said, it is like a spear, an elephant is like a spear. Then the third one, the third blind man moved and his hands around the elephant's legs. He said, you people are talking nonsense, an elephant is like a pillar. The fourth blind man touched the trunk of the elephant, he could feel it moving and he said, no, no, an elephant is like a big snake. The fifth man was near the tail of the animal and he said, what are you all saying? I know elephant is like a rope. And the sixth one touched the elephant's ear and said, you are all wrong, an elephant is like a big fan. So, here the story ends. So, now what do you come to learn about it? What do you observe? Here each of the blind men tried to describe elephant by the sense of their touch, but nobody could give full description of the animal, huge animal, because they could not see the full picture of the elephant. Similarly, management is like a vast subject, it has a wide scope. It is very difficult to define the term management in one sentence. Many authors have tried to define management, but they failed to give a comprehensive definition of the term management. So, a management thinker, Professor Theo Hyman, when he wanted to write a book on management, he referred several books, he referred several definitions, but he could not find a single definition which is comprehensive. So, he tried to define management in his own words. He tried once, he tried twice, he tried thrice and few times, but he also failed to define management in one sentence, because he observed that management is such a vast subject, all the features cannot be incorporated within one sentence. So, he failed to define, he admitted that it is very difficult to define management. So, instead of defining management, he described management. and Theo Hyman's concept. You see the slide how he described management. You see the second point, Professor Theo Hyman, finding it difficult to give comprehensive definition of management, admitted that it is easier to describe management than to define it. So, Theo Hyman's concept of management, you see he has described management as a noun, as a process and as a discipline. Okay. So, as a noun, what is the meaning of management as a noun? Management as a noun means the person or the body of persons who manage an organization. Then second one, management as a process. Management as a process means the various functions of management. What are the actions, what are the activities performed by managers? As a process, management means various functions of management. Okay? Then management as a discipline. Theo Hyman described management as a discipline. As a discipline, management means a separate branch of study, a separate branch of knowledge. So, in this way he described management in three different ways. So, let us see the next slide how what are the meanings. You see Professor Hyman described management in three different ways as shown in the diagram. Here see the left side the description, management as a noun, and the right side the meaning is given. Today we will highlight management as a process, which refers to the meaning of management as a process means the functions of management. What are the various functions of management? What does a manager do? These are the functions of management. So, today's topic, before we go to these are the various functions: planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. These are the 5 different multifarious functions of management. And today in this session we will discuss about planning, the first and foremost function of management, that is planning. So, now the topic is planning. The aim of this topic is to know, by going through this topic we will discuss about the meaning of the planning, steps of planning, features of planning and importance of planning. Clear? So, let us first see what is planning. But before we go to know the meaning of planning, let us take an example. Suppose you have got a call letter to attend an interview in a town which is not known to you. On the day of interview, you proceeded to that town, you got down from the train in the station S. Suppose you are at S, suppose you have got down from the train at station S. Here it is the place where you are here now at the station of the you are here. So, here we have reached, but the place where interview will be conducted is your target place, this is your T, you have to reach here, but you do not know what is the way, what is the route to be followed to reach that interview place of interview. Okay? So, what will you do? You will take the help of some local persons, you ask the local person, and after asking some local people you ascertain that there are 3 different routes. Suppose this is the route number 1, route 1, suppose this is A1, another route this is say A2, and the third one, suppose this is the third route, the route A3. These are the 3 different routes you discovered. Now, you will have to take a decision which route to be adopted, which is the best one, which is the best route. How will you decide? You will decide the best route on the basis of an analysis of cost and benefit. If you follow route 1, alternative A1, what will be the cost, what will be the time taken? If you follow alternative 2, what will be time taken and what will be your cost? What are the different modes of transportation available? In all these things, you will consider all these things and you will evaluate each of the alternatives. These are called alternatives. These routes are called alternatives. So, after evaluating each of the alternatives, you will determine the best way, best route to reach your target, to reach your goal, and this is nothing but called planning in management. So, planning means deciding in advance of action what to do, when to do, how to do and who will do it in order to reach the target or achieve the objectives of the organization effectively and efficiently. So, you see this slide, meaning and definition of planning. Planning means thinking before doing, thus it is a mental function, it is a mental exercise. Planning is deciding in advance of action about what to do, when to do, how to do and who is to do it. Clear? Then see different meaning and definitions are given. Planning means conscious and judicious determination of objectives of the organization as a whole, and devising the best course of action to be followed so as to achieve the objectives effectively and efficiently. Effectively here means, here effectiveness means reaching the target in time, and efficiency means reaching the target or achieving the objectives within the budgeted cost. Suppose for completing a task, time estimated is 3 years and cost estimated is say 2 crores. If the work is completed within 3-year period time, we say that the work has been completed effectively, but if the cost increases beyond 2 crores, then we say that the work has not been, the manager is not efficient to complete the task within the budgeted cost. So, planning bridges the gap where we are and where you want to go. Here you want to go. There is a gap between where you are and where you want to go. This gap is bridged by planning. So, planning means deciding in advance of action what to do, when to do, how to do, and by whom to do in order to achieve the organizational objectives effectively and efficiently. Then come to the next slide. Some definitions are given by Alfred and Beatty, M.S. Hurley. You can quote other definitions given by other personalities. So, there are slides to be skipped. Steps. What are the steps involved in planning? Setting objectives is the first and foremost step. First, the management has to set the objectives of the organization. Then second step, developing planning premises. Planning premises are nothing but the assumptions upon which the entire plan is to be prepared. Objectives are the goals to be achieved. There are several objectives of business which we have already read in first year, that is class 11. What are the different objectives of business? Like organic objectives, every business wants to survive, every business wants profit, every business wants to grow. Survival, growth, profitability, diversification, modernization, these are all the organic objectives of business. Similarly, human objectives, every organization has to satisfy its employees, its shareholders, and the government. So, in this way there are several objectives or you can say personal objectives of business. Similar social objectives, every business has certain objectives towards society. It has to satisfy the local people in the society. So, there are different objectives of business, and on the basis of that the management of an organization sets up the objectives for the organization. What will be the production target, what will be the sales target, all these targets, objectives are decided by management. So, this is the first step in planning. The second step is developing planning premises. I have already told the assumptions upon which the plans are to be formed. Then identifying alternative courses of action, as we have seen here. There are different routes, there are different ways of achieving the objectives. Each of the ways are called alternatives. Suppose, for example, suppose we are producing toothpaste, and for packing toothpaste, we need some packaging materials. So, we need tube and say outer carton, the third the packaging. So, the primary packaging is tube, which is used to pack paste, and the secondary package is the cardboard, which is given above the tube. So, they are the packaging materials. Suppose these packaging materials, there are two options available before management. We can make these packaging products, packaging materials within our organization, or we can procure it from outside market. That means make or buy decision. There are two alternatives available. One is the management may decide to make it inside the organization, inside the factory, own factory, or it may be procured from outside. Clear? So, make or buy decision. These are the alternative courses of action. There are two different alternative courses of action: make or buy. Make decision or buy decision. Make or buy decision. So, we have seen that objectives are to be achieved, and objectives can be achieved by different ways. There are different alternative ways, and we have to choose the best alternative. The fourth step, evaluating each alternative course of action. Each alternative course of action is to be evaluated. Evaluated means we have to make estimate of cost and benefit of each alternative. So, that is called CBA, cost benefit analysis of each of the alternatives is to be made to decide which is the best way of achieving the objectives, which is the best alternative for us to achieve the goals of the organization, and we will select that one. So, decision making is the primary function of management, which is done in this phase of planning. So, planning means deciding means decision making. We are making decisions about which way to proceed, which is the best course of action to be followed. That means, which is the best alternative to achieve the objectives. So, we have to evaluate it, that we will first set the objectives, we will develop planning premises, we will identify alternative courses of action, we will evaluate each of the alternative in terms of cost and benefit, then we will select the best alternative. Then review and revision of plan in the light of some changes in the environment. Business environment keeps on changing, business environment is very dynamic. So, if there are certain changes in environment, accordingly we may make some changes, we may make some revision in our plans that have already been made. So, review and revision of plans is also a part of steps in planning. Then come to next slide, that is features of planning. Planning is a primary function of management. You have seen that there are 5 different functions of management. Out of these 5 functions, planning is the first function, primary function. So, planning starts first, then other functions follow it. It is a mental function, planning is a mental function, it is a mental exercise. Here nothing is done by the management, only by some mental exercise to decide which is the best way, which is the best course of action to be followed, so as to achieve the objectives effectively and efficiently. Then it is goal oriented, planning is goal oriented. Always planning focuses on attainment of objectives of the organization. We keep our attention on achievement of the objectives successfully, effectively and efficiently. It involves decision making. We are taking decisions. There are different alternative courses of action, and we are choosing the best alternative. That means, we are deciding the best course of action to be followed. So, that is, it involves decision making. That means, we make a choice of best alternative. It is based on, planning is based on premises. Premises means the assumptions. If this thing last year or 5 years ago, these things happened, and it is expected that next year these things are likely to occur. Accordingly, we will make some assumptions. Basing upon past figures, we are making predictions for future. Planning means deciding future objectives, deciding future course of action. So, we are projecting future on the basis of past information, on the basis of some assumptions. Changes in environment, what are the likely changes that are going to take place in environment. On the basis of these assumptions, we are making plans. Next, we are going to next slide. You see the next slide, features of planning continues. It is forward looking. Planning is forward looking. Is it futuristic? I have already told. Planning focuses on future. We are deciding objectives for the future. We are highlighting the future, and we are deciding the best course of action to be followed in future. It is all pervasive. Planning is all pervasive. Means it is needed at all levels of management. Subsequently, you will read there are different levels of management. There are 3 different levels of management: top level, middle level, and bottom level. In all these 3 levels, planning is required. Planning is made by top level management, planning is made by middle level management, planning is made by bottom level management. So, planning is needed at different levels of management. Then come to the next slide, continuing function. Planning is a continuous function. Planning is not a one shot process, it continues. As business proceeds, as business goes on, similarly planning process is going on. Every time some modifications, some revisions are made in plans. So, it is a continuous process, it is an ongoing process. It involves formation of new plans, review of alterations and existing alterations or modification of existing plans. Then it is time bound. Planning is time bound. It specifies the time frame of each activity within which a work is to be completed. It also specifies the cost, estimate the cost within which a particular piece of work is to be completed. Importance of planning. Planning facilitates decision making. Here we have already discussed that while discussing of the steps in planning, setting of objective is the first step. So, after deciding the objectives, we have to identify various alternatives to achieve the objectives, and then we have to evaluate each of the alternatives in order to choose the best alternative. That is nothing but making decisions. So, planning facilitates decision making. It provides direction. All the activities of different personnel, different workers, different departments, all their activities are directed towards attainment of organizational objectives. So, it provides direction. It lays down the roadmap, specifying the time, specifying the cost limits to achieve the objectives. So, it provides direction of activities, business activities. Importance of planning continues. It focuses on it focuses attention on objectives. We have already seen while discussing about characteristics, planning is goal oriented. That means, planning focuses attention on objectives. Then fourth one, planning reduces overlapping and wasteful activity. Why we make plans? Because we make plans to avoid overlapping, to avoid wasteful activities, so that one action will not must not overlap with the other. There will be wastage of resources, wastage of time, wastage of manpower. So, in order to reduce overlapping, in order to reduce wasteful activities, we have to make plans. So, that describes the importance of planning. Then it minimizes risk and uncertainty. Risk, since we are making plans for future is highly uncertain, and where there is uncertainty there is risk. Risk cannot be avoided, but this can be minimized by taking precautionary steps, and it is the planning which helps us minimizing the future risks and also future uncertainties. So, since planning helps us in predicting future basing upon the past data, basing on past information and existing situations, likely changes in the environment, we are making plans, we are making projections for future. So, it avoids, it helps us minimizing, reducing risks and uncertainties. Then number 6, it converts threats into opportunities. Threats means the possible dangers that may come in our way. Suppose in the way of production, in the way of distribution marketing, some competitors may come into market, and in that sense, in that case, we may be ready to face that competition in market by changing our policies, by changing our strategies. We can modify our strategy to win over the competitors. So, our threats will be converted to opportunities. So, planning helps us in converting threats into opportunities. Then optimum utilization of resources, that is utmost important nowadays in this age of cutthroat competition. The resources, the input factors, man, money, material, machinery, these are all resources. All these resources are to be utilized optimally. Full utilization of resources is essential for reducing cost, for maximizing profit. So, optimal utilization of resources is possible only by effective planning. If planning is good, if planning is effective, then we can use our resources, input resources, we can use our manpower effectively, we can use our machine power effectively, and we can channelize this scarce resources in the best possible ways. Then it promotes innovation and creativity. Innovation and creativity helps in coordination, provides basis of control. So, you see, promotes innovation. Innovation means adding some new features to the products. Suppose we are producing a particular product and it has been capturing market for last 10 years. People has got fed up by using this product. Their choice has changed, their fashion has changed, they want some new product, new modifications. So, basing upon the need of the customers, we can modify our product, that is called innovation and creativity. So, sound planning encourages creative thinking and innovative ideas, new ideas, helps in coordination. Coordination is essential for success of the organization. It is a key to organizational success. So, planning helps in coordination also, and it provides basis for control. The last function of management: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating and controlling. The last function of management is controlling, and planning provides basis for controlling also, because planning provides the target, planning provides decide the objective, and in controlling phase we can measure the actual performance with the planned performance, thereby we can control if there is negative variation, if there is adverse situation, if the actual output has reduced than the targeted budgeted production, then we can find out ascertain the reasons why actual performance is reduced, why actual output is reduced than the targeted or budgeted output. So, in that way we can our planning provides basis for control. Okay. So, we have discussed about planning, the first function of management, characteristics of planning, importance of planning, steps involved in planning, and the two key terms effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness means completion of target within time, achieving the desired result within time, and efficiency means yielding maximum result, optimal utilization of resources, so that the cost will be minimized, profit will be maximized. This is all about planning. In this session, we will discuss on the topic organizing, the second most important function of management. So, what is organizing? You know that government is also a big organization. Government prepares plans and policies for the whole country, and these plans and policies are to be implemented with the help of a government machinery. That machinery, government machinery, is known as the organizing in case of government. Similarly, in case of business organization, objectives are determined, plans and policies are made. After planning, next comes organizing. How to achieve these objectives, how to achieve these objectives of the organization successfully, that is effectively and efficiently. These are coming under the functions of management. So, now we will discuss about organizing. In this topic, we will see the meaning of organizing, the steps involved in organizing, features and importance of organizing. Okay. Let us, before going to proceed to the meaning of organizing, let us see a short video. Let us watch this video very carefully. What do we learn here? Here in this case, the first scholar arranged the bones together to give the shape of the skeleton of a lion. That is nothing but organizing. The second scholar added bones and flesh to the skeleton, that is nothing but staffing, which is called in management staffing, means addition of bones and flesh, sorry, addition of flesh and blood, veins, etc., to the skeleton. The third friend, what the third friend did is nothing but adding life to the organ, that means direction, giving direction to the persons appointed, so that they can go ahead to do their part of jobs to achieve the objectives. So, organizing, the first one is organizing, then comes staffing, then comes directing. So, after planning comes organizing, then comes staffing, then comes directing. These are the three functions which are explained in the story. The jobs of three scholars is explained here or explained here, the three important functions of management: organizing, then staffing, then directing. So, let us see what is the meaning of organizing, meaning and definition. So, you see the second point, organizing is a managerial process of identifying and grouping the work to be performed and arranging the other resources like physical resources, financial resources, manpower, then grouping together the activities, grouping of creating various job vacancies inside the organization structure, and establishing authority responsibility relationships among the various positions. I repeat, organizing is a managerial process of identifying and grouping the work to be performed, arrangement of various resources like financial resources, physical resources and other resources which are required, then creating various job positions in various parts of this organization structure. Let us see the diagram. It will be better understood when by the help of a diagram. Suppose here in a company, I am giving example of company form of organization, where at the top there are shareholders, then below them there are board of directors, then below them there are different departmental managers, say purchase manager, say production manager, then say finance manager. In this way different job positions are created, and again below them there may be some others, like under production there may be foreman 1, foreman 2, foreman 3. In this way an organization structure is created. This is a job position, this is a job position, this is a job position. The shareholders are the owners, board of directors are the managers. So, board of directors take the responsibility of managing the organization. You know that management is the art of getting things done through other people. The board of directors will not do the work, they will get the work done through their subordinate. Again production manager or purchasing manager, production manager, finance manager, they are all responsible to get the work done through their subordinates. So, they will, under them there will be some subordinates. In this way the chain continues till the workers. In the last stage there will be workers, those who do work actually. So, this is nothing but organizing the entire process, creating various job positions. For each job position, what will be the authority of this position, what will be the responsibility of each position, what will be authority of this position, what will be the responsibility of this position. All the job positions are linked together. Well, nobody has been appointed, just like the bones of a dead lion was joined together by the first scholar. Similarly, in the same way, here different job positions are created and a link is established, authority, responsibility, relationship is established among these various job positions. Who will be under him, who will work under him, who will report to whom. These are the links, these are the authority, responsibility, relationships which are established in the first phase. So, the basic objective of organizing is to create an organization structure, so that everybody can know his position in the organization, under whom he is working and who is above him, whom he will report. So, this is all about creation of organization structure. So, identifying and grouping work to be performed, establishing authority responsibility, creating various job positions and establishing authority responsibility relationships among the job positions. Now come to the definitions. Lewis Allen has defined very nicely, it has been defined by Lewis Allen. I have selected this definition because it covers up all the characteristics, all the features of organizing. So, it continues, you can refer your book. Then what are the steps? What are the steps of organizing or functions of organizing? What does a manager do in this phase? First step, understanding the objectives. You know that in the phase of planning, the first and foremost function of management planning, objectives are determined, objectives are established by the management in the first step, planning. Now comes organizing. Here in this phase, the objectives are to be interpreted, understood by the management. So, after understanding the objectives, then work are to be identified. What steps are to be taken? What are the possible activities to be undertaken in order to achieve the objectives? The work to be done is identified here in this page. Then third, division of activities. The work are to be divided. Suppose in this case, the production manager decides the target that there will be 1000 units of production target is 1000 units of output per day. So, that is the target. That target is to be achieved per day. Okay. So, in order to fulfill that how much raw material is to be purchased, at what time the production activity is to be undertaken, all these things are to be, the work is to be divided. Who will take care of the purchasing part, who will take care of the setting of machine, who will take care of the issuing instructions to the workers, and all these things are to be taken here. So, division of activities. Each piece of work is to be divided into its small components, so that there will be no overlapping, there will be no duplication of work. So, this is the first operation, this is the first step, then this work, then this piece of work. In this way, the entire work is to be divided into small pieces. Each piece of work is to be completed at a time. There will be no overlapping, there will be no duplication of work. Then next, the grouping of activities. After identification of activities, then comes grouping. The activities of similar nature are to be grouped together, and that group of activities to be assigned to a department. So, it leads to departmentalization. So, grouping of activities in fact leads to departmentalization. For example, all purchasing related activities are to be handed over to the responsibility of purchase manager, that is purchase department, or similarly all production related activities are to be grouped together and assigned to the production manager, who will be in charge of production department. In this way, the activities of similar nature are to be grouped together, combined together, and each group of activity is to be assigned to a particular departmental manager. So, this is known as departmentalization. So, grouping of activity leads to departmentalization, creation of various departments, and so that each department can take care of a particular kind of activities. Then creating various job positions, another next step of organizing, creation of various job positions. As we have seen, there are various job positions which are created in organization. First, at the top there live the job position, that is shareholders, they are the owners of the organization. Below them there are board of directors, they are in charge of overall management of the business. Then below them general manager and departmental managers, below them subordinate managers, branch managers, section managers, and then below them the workers. At the lower level the workers are there, they are not managers, they perform the actual work. So, production activities are undertaken by the actual workers. So, in this way different job positions are created. For each job position we define the responsibility, defining the requirements of each job position. What is the requirement of each job position? If a person is appointed in the post or job position of a purchase manager, what will be his requirements, what will be his authority power, what will be his responsibility, and what are the educational qualifications required to discharge these responsibilities effectively and efficiently, that are defined here in this organizing phase. So, various job positions are created. For each job position, what will be the authority of that position, what will be the responsibility of that position, that is also determined, and then what are the educational qualifications, technical qualifications, experience are required on the part of a person who will be appointed in that post, in that position, to discharge the responsibility of that position. So, in this way for each job position we define the responsibility, we define the authority, and we also decide the educational qualifications, the technical qualifications, the experience that are required to discharge the job of the responsibility of that position effectively and efficiently. So, in this page we define the requirements of each job position. What are the requirements? Then delegation of authority. In this page we delegate the authority. What is authority? Authority is the power to take or to have command over subordinate. Authority also is, has another meaning. Authority means the decision making power. So, it has two meanings authority, the power to have command over subordinate, the second meaning decision making power. So, these powers are given to the managers because manager does not do the work himself, manager get the work done, and to get the work done some power is required, otherwise the subordinate managers will subordinate employees will not obey the orders, obey the instructions by his given to him by his boss. So, every boss, every superior or top level officer must be given some power to have command over subordinate, so that he can get the work done through his subordinate. Similarly, decision making power, every manager has to be given some power to take decisions. That means, he should have some free hands to decide the matter at his level. Similarly, deciding hierarchy of authority and responsibility relationship. Authority and responsibility relationship, we have already shown the organization structure. What will be the authority of top position, what will be the authority of middle level position, what will be the authority of bottom level managers, what will be the responsibility of top level managers, what will be the authority or responsibility of middle level managers, what will be the responsibility of bottom level managers. So, authority responsibility of each job position is defined clearly, and this creates a formal relationship among them. And then that is called line of authority. The line of authority is determined clearly, defined clearly, and also that line of authority also serves the purpose of communication. Communication like this, you see how communication channel is established. I will repeat, this is suppose the board of directors, then suppose including general manager, then there are different managers. So, what are the different plans and policies prepared by the formulated by the board of directors, they will communicate it to the subordinate, say purchase manager, say production manager, say finance manager, say human resource manager. In this way there are several subordinate managers, departmental managers, then below them there may be branch managers, storage section, issue section. In this way there may be different sectional officers or sectional managers. So, the authority responsibility relationship is established among them in this way, and this line of authority, this is called formal line of authority. This formal line of authority also serves the purpose of communication, channel of communication, upward communication from top to bottom to top, and from top to bottom the plans and policies are communicated, instructions are given by top level to lower level, and any feedback to be given by the subordinate also should pass through this channel and reach the top. So, for necessary action by the top level managers. So, this is the line of authority which also serves the purpose of channel of communication. In this way, the authority responsibility relationship is established among the different positions, job positions, because we have not appointed till now, we have not yet appointed any person, just we are creating a structure, we are defining the authority responsibility each positions, and we are establishing authority responsibility relation link, the formal relationship link, and which will serve the purpose for the channel of communication also. We are just making a structure, machinery which will be utilized for achieving the objectives of the organization for staffing purpose. So, then next, arrangement of physical and financial resources. So, after determining the organization structure, we arrange the physical resources like machineries, raw materials, and also financial resources where from we will get capital, that is also planned here. And then coordination of efforts, the efforts of different positions are to be coordinated, how to coordinate the efforts of different individuals working in the organization, that are to be taken here, steps to be taken here. Then features of organizing. Organization is a managerial process, no doubt, it is a function of management, it is a process of management. It deals with identification of activities, grouping of activities, and creating various job positions, creating various departments, and then defining, delegating authority and responsibility for each job position, and establishing a chain of relationship, formal relationship. So, it is a managerial process. It is an important function of management. It is a base for subsequent other functions like staffing. It provides base for staffing, it provides base for controlling, it provides base for directing also. So, staffing, directing, and controlling, these are these three subsequent functions organizing provides a basis for these 3 subsequent functions. So, it provides a base for other subsequent functions. So, it is goal oriented, organizing is goal oriented, always planning is also goal oriented, management is goal oriented. If management is goal oriented, then each and every piece of every part of functions of management also are goal oriented. So, it is goal oriented, it focuses on objectives of the organization. Organizing is a means, not an end. Organizing is a process which will lead to attainment of objectives. It is not an end in itself. It is not the objective. Organizing, after organizing, our work does not end. It will continue to till the end, till the attainment of the organizational objectives. So, it is a means, it is not an end. Then comes to importance of organizing. Organizing, since here we are grouping the activities, we are creating various departments. This is called division of labor. The entire work is divided and grouped together. It leads to specialization. So, division of labor leads to specialization. If a particular group of activities is to be performed by a group of people, they will be expert, they will be specialist in that field. So, it leads to specialization. It is one of the benefits or importance of organizing. Then second is optimum utilization of resources. The resources, the input factors, men, money, material, machinery, these are the resources. Resources are scarce, resources are limited. We must make best use of all these resources. How manpower will be used effectively, how materials will be used effectively, how machinery will be used effectively. All these things, proper utilization of resources, efficient utilization of resources, optimum utilization of resources, these are all possible with the help of organizing, effective organizing, sound organizing structure. A creation of sound organization structure helps in effective utilization of resources. Then comes optimum use of technology. Similarly, it facilitates communication, we have already discussed. It facilitates communication, it provides a channel of communication, upward communication, downward communication, horizontal communication. All these communication processes are also facilitated by organizing, because organizing defines, establishes a clear line of authority which serves the purpose of channel of communication. So, it facilitates communication process inside the organization. Communication is a vital part of directing function, we will see later on. So, directing of function of management has incorporated in it a important element that is called communication. So, communication is an important element of the directing function of management. So, for that it also helps organizing facilitates communication. Then it improves interpersonal relationships. It improves there is a link between different persons, superior subordinate relationship, and every subordinate is to obey the instructions, orders given to him by his superior, and every subordinate will report to his boss. So, this way there is a link, there is a chain of relationship among them. They interact with themselves, they communicate among themselves, and by this way interpersonal relationship is developed. A healthy atmosphere is created inside the organization. So, this is another importance of organizing. Then it facilitates teamwork. In an organization, different departments are created, and when several employees work together in a particular department, a type of relationship is developed among them. They work as a team, and there is some brotherlyhood and is developed among them by continuous interaction among themselves. So, development of personnel, organizing helps in development of personnel, the employees. Organization facilitates development of personnel, the employees working in the organization. Then effective administration. Administration is facilitated by organizing, because we know who is working under him, who is working under whom, and who is responsible, who will report to whom. Since there is a clear cut defined relationship, authority responsibility relationship, superior subordinate relationship, that has already been established by the top level management. So, it helps effective administration. If anybody deviates from his work, if anybody does not perform his part of duties efficiently and effectively, it can be easily identified and action can be taken against him. So, it facilitates effective administration. Then adaptation to change. Organizing helps in making adjustments to the changes in the environment. Business environment is dynamic, it keeps on changing very fast. In accordance with changes in the environment, our organization becomes adapted to the changing situation. We can adapt our organization. Suppose the government has taken a decision, and due to that suppose we have got an opportunity to expand our market to a new area, and expansion of market to expansion of production to a new area is possible only when sound organization system is there. We can add a new department to our organization structure, by adding that we can establish a relationship easily if organization structure is flexible enough to adapt to the changing situation, changing circumstances, then we say it is adaptive. So, our organization structure should be adaptive in nature. It should have facility or it should have capability of adaptation to changes taking place in the environment. So, what are the key terms that we have studied here? We have discussed here. Organizing, it is a managerial process of identifying and grouping activities. We have already discussed it. Organization structure, it is a skeleton, it is a machinery which has which creates various job positions, defining the responsibility and authority of each job position, and establishing formal relationship among the various job positions, which also serves as a purpose for channel of communication. Departmentalization, it is a process of grouping similar activity together and creation of a department. Then delegation, delegation means entrusting the power to the subordinates. Delegation is the key to organizational success. The process of downward transfer of authority is called delegation. Authority is the power to have command over subordinate, and authority is the power to take decisions. So, this is authority. Then responsibility refers to the obligation of subordinates to properly perform the assigned duty, whether the work is done or not, I am responsible. If I have been assigned some task, it is my responsibility to see that my part of job is completed in time and effectively and efficiently. So, that is my responsibility. It is my obligation to complete the task. Accountability, accountability means answerability. So, every subordinate remains answerable to his boss if his part of job is his responsibility is not properly discharged. Then centralization, centralization means holding of authority at one place. If entire power, the whole power is concentrated at the top, then you say there is centralization of authority. If the power is delegated, the authority is delegated to the top, that is called decentralization. So, the reverse process, the opposite of centralization. So, centralization means holding of authority by the top level, decentralization means delegation of authority to the bottom level. So, delegation leads to decentralization, and without delegation, if authority is not delegated, it leads to centralization. Holding of authority by the top management. Then formal organization, the organization structure which is deliberately created to get to achieve the organizational objectives effectively and efficiently, that is called formal organization. Informal organization, there are certain organizations which are automatically developed, spontaneously developed by the employees working in the organization. Those who the employees, after working for several years, a kind of relationship is developed, that is informal, that is spontaneous, that is not recognized by formal organization structure. So, this is all about our functions of organizing. Thank you.